Wow, look at that. We're really cracking along with our earth resistance up on the South Moor. Going at such a speed we can hardly breathe. It's the new RM85. Thanks, Alan. You're an absolute star, mate. Here we go. Another day of geophys up on South Moor. Can we find anything that seemed to show up in those thermal shots? It's all good stuff. Lovely day for it though. Not too hot, not raining, not too chilly, just right. When I get home, we'll get in the garden and we'll have a little look at the data that we've downloaded. Should be quite exciting, I hope, but I don't know, it's usually a bit inconclusive. Let's find out, shall we? Hello there, John Kenny here. Alright, I'm just packing away my geophysics kit now out the car. I spent this morning downloading the data from our 3 days really worth of work in quite different conditions, everything from rain to sunshine. Now we've got some lovely sunshine again. Brilliant, isn't it? So what do we find? Well, we managed to do 13 grid squares, 20 by 20 meters. That was pretty good. And we were looking to see whether we could see something going on that looked interesting on thermal drone images that have been produced by Tony Hunt. So here's the thermal drone image. It all looks a bit strange, lots of dark reds and like hot orangey colours. Well, the hot oranges and yellows and things, that's where the ground was very dry and therefore much warmer. And the areas that are a little bit more damp, fractions more damp, those are the areas that are a little bit cooler, and they're the dark blobs. And you can see some lines and things in the dark blob. In fact, if you look in the bottom in the bottom right hand corner, the southeast corner, you can see an awful lot of things going on there. I don't know if you can see it from a distance there, but there's enclosures, there's roundhouses, there's all the kinds of things you'd expect in an Iron Age settlement, Iron Age going into the Romano-British, and it's already been identified as that from aerial photography by Historic England. So we kind of know that's the sort of thing that's going on there. What we were questioning was, is there something a bit more high status in the Roman end, in the darker blobs, and that's what we were hoping to find in our geophysics. So here's the geophysics. It probably all just looks like a bunch of grey again, but in fact what you've got is you've got the drier areas are the lighter colours, and the dark blacks are the areas where where we had a lower resistance. And so the high resistance tends to be dry, low resistance tends to be damp. To be fair, it's been dry for a very, very long time. And although it's rained a couple of times during our survey, it's got to be said that what we were generally finding there was a very dry environment, but there was enough difference. Unfortunately, you can see lots of stripes going backwards and forwards, up and down across the across what we were surveying, and those are all either drains or they're the tracks of the farm vehicles going up and down, because it was actually ploughed and then and then harrowed while we were working, or in between our surveys. And of course, where the vehicles drove up and down, they're tracks in the dust, because that's very dusty, very light, sandy soil. When it actually rained, then the track ruts just contained a little bit more water, which affected a bit our earth resistance. So we're trying to see through that, through the drains, through the or possible tracks, and trying to see other things going on. And you can certainly see what looked like some sort of features going across the landscape, that they might be they might be tracks, earlier tracks, something to do with either the medieval use of the land, or maybe even going all the way back to the Iron Age and Romano-British. Things going on, but maybe not as exciting and as absolutely, we're not just throwing our hands up and saying, wow, look at that, there's an amazing high status building here. We're not seeing that. So we'll still need to do more work. We need to decide whether we want to see what we can see of that Iron Age Romano-British enclosures and roundhouses, and whether we want to get a bit more depth into that darker blob by redoing it with the magnetometry next time. So plenty of opportunities still for doing other things, and we'll get stuck into it, I'm sure. So keep watching. Remember to go and like and subscribe. Like I've said before, one like is an absolute victory for me at the moment. And what I'm making sure is, though, I'm recording what we're doing. Even if not many people look at it now, year down the line, someone might be going, what did they do out in that field? You'll be able to find out by looking at my little videos. So, see you again soon. Bye.